Hey there, book lovers. I'm back for another book review. However, before I review the book, allow me to show off my new microphone, please. I hope you can see it. It's the fabulous ice blue, which was recommended to me by a friend. So thank you, Ricky, if you're out there and listening. So today I have decided to review a book entitled 7 Life Lessons of Chaos by John Briggs and David Peat. So I hope you can see it. So much to say about this book. Recently, the academic community and the science community has lost Dr. Peat. He used to be a professor at California Institute of Integral Studies, and that's how I know him. And he also was my dissertation chair. So I've definitely read this book before, but when I heard the news, I felt like it would be nice to do a book review with one of his books and just to honor his life in that way. So I hope you enjoy this review, and I highly recommend this book. If you don't know anything about chaos theory, this is a good place to start. It tends to be a little complicated at times because there's a lot of scientific terms in there, but the gist of it is pretty straightforward, and I will summarize it here. So here we go. So our life is in chaos all the time, and everything around us in nature is in chaos. It's on a subtle level that we sometimes don't see. When there's a storm, we obviously see that, but when it's something like inside our bodies, for example, or something in our psyche, or on a very cellular or nuclear level, it's difficult to see those activities, so to speak. So in the book the authors say that chaos is not random, but it is interconnected. So it's basically similar to what the mystical message has been throughout history. The themes in these lessons that we're going to hear are basically about trying not to control nature. So what is chaos? What is chaos theory? The definition, really, in the simplest terms, is that it is a universal law that can be applied to anything, or actually exists in anything. And it exists in things like the weather when there's storms, but also in making bread. And it can also be applied to the psyche of a human being if they're going through some turbulence, and then the psyche self-organizes and they're feeling better. And also in art making. So it is basically, and in a few words, it appears to be chaotic, but inherently it is self-organizing. So that means that it has the ability to get itself out of this chaos without any external help. And it was the physicist and philosopher Jules Henry Poincaré who discovered this theory at the end of the 19th century while he was observing the movement of asteroids. So what he noticed is that the asteroids would follow a certain movement, but then over time, because of the magnetic pull of different planets, this movement would change. And so over time, as it accumulated, the what the result would be that the asteroid would get knocked out of the system, the solar system, so it would fall out because the movement of it has changed because of these magnetic poles from the planets. So this is where chaos theory came from. And as for the 7 lessons, I will go through them each individually. And the first one is, the lesson 1 is, chaos is creative. Be like chaos. And in this chapter, Briggs and Peat tell us that creativity is not limited to certain people, and that's just a myth. Anyone can be creative. And this is actually what I'm passionate about, that we're all creative. I don't care what anyone tells you or what you think you can create or what you can't. I'm here to tell you, you are creative. You're an artist. You were born that way. You will always be, even if you don't recognize it. So, and everything in nature is creative because it has the ability to self-organize, and that creates order out of chaos. Truth and chaos are connected, they write, because being in chaos allows us to uncover the truth that cannot be measured by words. So usually when we're going through something stressful, it makes us slow down. So this stressful thing is actually the chaotic thing. That's chaos theory, or the actual activity of chaos in our life. And it makes us slow down, and we can't help but try to understand the truth of the situation. So that was lesson 1. Lesson 2 is, chaos has butterfly power. Use that power. And basically it means that anything that we do, we are going to impact the world around us. The butterfly effect, there's this theory in science that if a butterfly is fluttering its wings like halfway across the world, we're still going to experience something as a result of that on the other side of the world. So each one of us has an impact in that way. Even though we don't recognize it, it actually is true. So use that power. And they also say, when you shift your inner world, the entire world outside you will shift. And I mean, these are things that we also hear by mystics and spiritual teachers. And this is coming through a science context, this information. Then lesson 3, relinquish control and go with the flow. Go with the flow. That's a big one for everyone, including myself. So with going with the flow is trying not to compete and cooperating. And they say that in Native American and rural communities, that's usually how the society functions. No one's competing against anyone, but everyone's self-organizing and helping each other to accomplish whatever needs to be done on any given day. And they also write that the theory of evolution is based on competition, and it's the survival of the fittest, but the chaos theory is more about cooperation and evolution. So I kind of see them working hand in hand, because there has to be some sort of competition, as we see, and like the survival of the fittest and the species that have actually remained on Earth until this day. They must have done something other than just cooperate. So in the hierarchical social structures of today, Briggs and Peat, right, that we spend about 60 to 70 hours working, where studies have shown that 18 hours is sufficient for hunter-gatherer societies. So our ancestors, the hunter-gatherers that didn't have our huge cities and civilizations that were living off of nature and what the earth provided, they only needed to work 18 hours a week to survive. And now it's like 60 to 70 hours the average person spends. That's a sad reality. Then lesson 4, embrace the paradox. The paradox is that existence is both complex and simple. And the way this works is that you have the individual and you have the society. So the individual is the simple aspect of the society. And also we can take the individual as the complex aspect, and then the cells in the body would be the simple aspect. And they also write that fractals are complex, and this is also an obvious on the micro level and the macro level. So fractals is what the entire universe is made of. And I wish I could show an image here, but just actually I could. So this here, like this circle here, that is an example of a fractal. But also let me see if I can find something in the book, because actually this book has some photos in it, so it's pretty entertaining. Here's another fractal. So this is what our universe is made of, and then if we go into nature and look at flowers and different fruits and stuff, we discover these patterns in them. So these patterns can also be complex, but they can also be simple. And they alternate. And this alternation of these two is called intermittency. So an example they give here is the time on Earth. It seems to us that we have 24 hours a day, but science has shown that the Earth sometimes jitters as it's going around the sun. And this creates an interruption in the time that we perceive. So this would be termed intermittency. And I'm not a scientist by any means. I just like reading these things, and sometimes half these concepts just go in and out and I don't grasp them. So, okay, lesson 5, seeing that there is beauty in chaos. Life is art. So yeah, everything around us is basically made of these fractals, and they are actually beautiful to look at. And they're made from matter and energy. But then art takes it a step further when a human being is making art, because they're using matter, energy, and also using their consciousness. So consciousness is at play when we make art. And then the lesson 6, living in the moment, because that is all the time that we have. And I don't really think I need to go into this one, because we hear about this from every single spiritual teacher out there, how bringing ourselves into the present moment is an important thing in our life, because it helps us concentrate on what is important, because actually there is no past and there is no future. All there is just this one moment. However, there's one thing that they mention in this chapter as well. They say time is fractal. And I'm not sure I grasp this concept fully. I feel like I need to read a little bit more about what that means, that time is fractal. But feel free to comment in the comment section if you do have that knowledge. I would love to hear more about what it means that time is fractal. And then lesson 7, the last lesson from chaos, is that it helps us see the wholeness of life. So wholeness is something that all mystical traditions have been calling for, and it also is something that we learn through chaos, because it shows us how everything is interconnected with everything else. And this wraps up the book review for today. I am not sure what the next book will be, but I have to say, I just ordered a couple of books, so if they arrive in time, it could be one of them. We'll see. I'm not going to give it away. It's a surprise. Although I was also thinking that maybe in the future it'd be nice to share in advance what I'm going to be reading, so that people can, if they wish to, read it at the same time, and then maybe bounce some ideas off of the book review. Anyhow, take care until next time. Keep reading.